It's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 270 of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. I have our service hero with me, one of the top 25 next impactors, Sharon Ton. Now, I want to say that Sharon is uniquely amazing. She has a story that she is sharing with the world. She has a cause that's near and dear to my heart. In fact, we were visiting before we went live, and I told her just how near and dear it is. She also has been through a lot similar things. We'll go into that. And her training, her day job, if you will, goes hand in hand with some of the things we're going to talk about before we even get into the service hero part, because there's some current events taking place that are pretty big, aren't there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scary. Very scary.
And it can be. And we've got Mikey Adam Cohen with us today.
Hey, Mikey. Hi. Yes. I can't wait to meet him either.
Oh my gosh, he's like, everybody knows he's like one of my BF. Well, he's my best male friend, BMF, I guess is what you would call it. I'm learning all these things. I'm one of the tail end of the baby boomers. Wink, wink.
I'm a little further along than you, Tamara.
I don't know. We could compare notes.
Yeah,
I'm just
could, not.
Yeah. And thank you very much, Spencer Rose. I appreciate it. Okay, let's talk. Let's get really to it, because there's some stuff happening. And, we were talking about the fact that with your background, with my background, with my passion and training, and actually I have been a trainer in this area, and this is something that's near and dear to you, making sure that people are prepared, right?
Yeah. For any emergency, really.
Right. And this goes along what we're going to be talking about today, guys. And I really thought about this too, is it translates into, there's so many things going on. We have the earthquakes that are going on. We've had tornadoes going on. We get the floods that take place. It's been an interesting year, 3 or 5 for a few, right?
Yeah, fires.
And fires. Oh, yes. In fact, okay, yeah. We were both talking about that. We both have family members that are in the fire service, right?
No, my husband's an educator. He's retired.
Okay, but you have family or friends that are like in the fire service, or we were talking about someone that was an engineer that you've known.
He's an electrical engineer.
Oh, an electrical
different kind of engineer.
Yes. Okay. Well, I had my mind in preparedness today, so that's why. Okay, Tamara. My bad, as they say. Okay, gotta laugh. We're gonna laugh through this, because this is not meant to be scary. This is meant to. There's an element of, if you are prepared and if you are ready, it helps you to not be fearful.
Yes.
Sure. In fact, okay, so Mikey, he's talking about that he was driving and the earth shook his car on the bridge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being in my car.
Yeah, and we can
blonde moment.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mikey. See, that's what's having the best friends all about, right?
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's okay. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's something about being prepared, and I actually am someone that does props, and so I grabbed a few of my props, and let's talk about that. It doesn't take a lot to be prepared for just about any of the things that we just mentioned, the fires. Many of us know people that lost homes, and in some of the big fires lately, I have extended family members that lost homes in the Paradise Fire. Many of us know people that have been affected by the tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes, and house fires are a big one. People don't realize that simple things like having a working smoke alarm can
Yep.
make a difference. Simple things to some, huge things to others.
Yeah.
So we're just going to cover a few things, and then we're going to go in and we're going to brag about Sharon and what she's doing. Part of your mission, though, I am going to say, is about hunger, right?
Yes.
And you personally know what it's like to feel that way.
Yes. I lived it.
You lived it. And that's something now that you want to eradicate.
Yes, it's a passion to my soul.
Passion to your soul. See why I love this woman already? All right, so we're going to talk about that because in an emergency situation, having a little bit of forethought can make a big difference, because if there's a large swath of people that are affected, you will think many times that the first responders will be there to take care of you first.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to understand that the first responders' responsibilities are to take care of the most critical situations first.
True.
And they are educating, they are helping others to educate. They get out there and they almost, shout it from the rooftops to be prepared to have a 72-hour kit. If you haven't heard about that, let me know. I would love to know if you don't even know what a 72-hour kit is, because the goal of this today is that you will at least understand that concept and realize it's something that you can do even today.
Yep.
So let's get down to it. A 72-hour kit, some people call it evacuation kit.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be something as simple as I'm going to move this out a bit, is having a backpack that you have about 72 hours. And it's about, because the idea here is really think in terms of 3 to 7 days, if at all possible. However, the minimum is 3 days of clothing. And if you're like me and you've been doing this forever, don't assume that everything's going to fit everybody, especially if you have kids.
True. That's true. Yeah, you better make sure it fits. It might have been in there a while.
Yes, and you need to make sure that it's appropriate for the weather. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, you need to change. Don't you guys like change things, put the winter clothes away for the summer and that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yes. We have 4 seasons, so yeah, it depends what season it is, what you have.
So wouldn't it be appropriate to, when you're doing that, when you're going through and changing the clothes for the seasons, to change your 72-hour backpacks at the same time, one for each member of the family, and that means animals too.
Oh, I did not think of animals, but yes, you're right.
Yes, you need a backpack for your loved animals, because believe it or not, we think that we'll have it all together and we'll take care of that. However, if you don't have that ready to go with your other ones, you very well may be missing an opportunity to take care of that loved one.
Yeah.
Because many times, I know my furry friend and my furry buddy, because he is a buddy, RD, is a family member. So he has his own backpack. And in it, think about it. They should have, let's see, we have thermal, food, moose, hunting knives. And survival.
Yeah.
Minnesota Winners survival kits. There's something to be
people
said.
Don't realize that we have to have one for winter that you need to keep in your car in case you're stranded in your car.
Right. See, it's the same concept. And you really, here in Southern California, when I was working away from home, I worked many times another county away, and I also was an outside sales sometimes, where a consultant, you would say, And so I would be dressed to the nines and the high heels and everything, right? And
Yeah.
that's not what you want to be hiking out in, you know. So
No, no.
you want to have a backpack, an appropriate backpack in your car also, with
Mm-hmm.
sturdy shoes, flashlights, those type of things. So also in this, think about this, guys. We take it for granted that our cell phones are going to be working. And what do we have in our cell phones?
Batteries.
Batteries.
We need to
And
have we need to have a charger
we need a charger. That's very good. But also
and
the
batteries.
cell towers may not be up.
That's true.
But the battery is very important, because what do we have in here? Most of the time we have all of our contacts.
Yes.
Do you have them on paper? Also, in an old-fashioned telephone book,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And do you have important papers that you can get a hold of your insurance agents and such things like that? Because believe it or not, most of the insurance companies will come and create tent cities to take care of things immediately. And if you have your information with you, you go to the front of the line and you can get your vouchers for wherever you need to go much quicker, they say, than others. And so these are really smart items. Tips and tricks are what I said. We would talk about simple things like and I have no affiliation with any of these, but good prices, things like Walmart and that. You can get or even just use Ziploc bags, but they're not maybe as trustworthy, but you want to get those bags that you can put your cell phone in if you're going swimming. Right now, this is a great time to get some of those. Get a few of those, put all your papers in there just in case these bags get wet. The last thing you want is to have something that you know you're going to be able to go to and it turns to mush in your hands.
Yeah.
Okay,
True.
so these are just, and then for those people, when my mother was alive, and this is something that we went to her doctors about, is that you want to, if you're on prescriptive drugs, and for my buddies, you want to talk to your doctors about having 3 to 5 days worth of prescriptive drugs that they will then put it in your chart, if that is a doctor that will work with you, and so that you will have that in, and you keep it, and you have it basically locked up, kind of, that it is not going to be that you were creating any kind of shenanigans, that this is something your doctor said you needed to have, and you've got your prescriptive drugs with you.
That's important.
Very important. Also,
And a list of who your doctors are.
Yes, and what your prescription drugs are currently. If you don't have them, what are they, and who is your drug? Who is your prescription company, or the drugstore that you're going through? They'll have the verification of the records. These things we think we will be able to recall, and believe it or not, if you're in a shock situation, it's much better to not have to worry about it. Do it now and get it done.
Well, you're in a survival mode. You're in a survival mode, so you're not even thinking of that.
Right. Then another thing, when my kids were young, each one of my kids had a deck of cards, because I knew they'd been driving me crazy. So they had a deck of cards. They each had something, like like a little pad of paper, and because you have to think in terms of size and weight. However, I had things that were appropriate for each one of them to keep them occupied in a positive way, because they're going to be, especially the younger they are, the more fearful. Have a comfort item, if at all possible, in there that they would be able to, and it doesn't have to be big to be impactful. Beanie Babies worked really well at the time.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're not as popular now, but yes, they are. That was a perfect size. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, so that's, and think of sturdy shoes, those kind of things. I have a really bad neck, so that's why I included this, because, we've got to think in terms. Another thing for in your backpack or around your house is, because we're going to talk about water, and water is critical to survival. And we do not want to waste water where you don't need to use it. So items like these items, and I had disinfected wipes, and
Mhm.
I used them to clean something, and I didn't put them back right here. So, I was like, oh, I need to clean something.
Yeah.
These are things that are inexpensive that, right, different times of the year, you can get coupons, really great coupons. You can buy them. They don't have to be the name brand. They just need to
Mhm.
have.
It doesn't matter.
No, no, and
Mhm.
it's just think in terms of you want to keep things as clean as possible.
Right.
Another thing that's really, really great to have is a lot of trash bags because you want. And I have something that's called it's outside, and I have my stuff, some stuff outside, and I have a porta potty tent.
Really?
It converts to a shower.
Wow.
It is the coolest
Oh,
thing.
that's even better. You can get a shower too. Oh my
And
gosh.
and I even okay, yeah, I'm into this big time, guys, and I can teach this all day long. And you can, and I'm not gonna get because a lot of this is camping stuff. And Jeremiah was mentioning it, and that's the truth. Is if you're a camper, you most likely have everything around.
Oh yeah.
So, but let's just think in terms of one of the most critical things, if nothing
Yeah.
else, today, everybody, everywhere. It's not expensive to
Mm-mm.
do this. Just get some simple water. Different groups will say different things for the calculations, but
Mm.
whatever group you feel that and I'm not going to say one group is better. You've got the Red Cross. You've got, different cities have different programs. You have the Mormon Church has an excellent preparedness group. You have the scouting programs have them. You have a lot of other church groups that have programs. Um,
Right.
so find the one that you can relate to. But the calculation is anywhere from one of these to two and a half of these per day per person. It depends on who you talk to, but you can survive without food for a long time, but water is pretty
Yeah.
critical.
Yes.
So, all right, now we're not going to be on this much longer, guys, but I do need to just go through a few more simple, handy dandy things. If you don't own one with your water, go
I do.
buy.
I love them. I still have one of those.
These things could be critical because you can have all of this stuff. And I will show you one thing that is really smart to do, is that I actually mark on all my cans when their expiration date is when I buy them. And
Yeah.
so
I
then
just put the date that I buy them
there you
so I
go.
can they're not too old.
Perfect. See, whatever works for you, but
Hmm.
that's perfect. See, perfect. And I picked this and I picked this. So this is like a broth, and these are like tomato with with the juice and such. To then be able to have like these kind of packaged meals. These are all things you can
Yeah.
buy at the grocery store. You don't have to go to any camping store. You don't have to go anywhere
Yeah.
special. You don't have to buy a special. This is a group that does do storage type items, but they have their products out in the groceries. And it is one of the soup mix type of things where you just need to constitute it with some kind of liquid. And it doesn't have to be water because remember, your
No.
water is so important. So have some of these other items that you can then mix something together and feed your family. One other
Yeah.
thing that's really important is to know where your gas shutoff is.
True.
Now this is something, total disclosure. I was young, a young mother, single mom, had only one kid at the time. I ended up with four, but I had one kid at the time, and I went through one of the big earthquakes in California.
Okay.
And it shook like crazy. And I was the only one there. And I was at my mother and father's place, and they were out of town. So what did I do? I thought I'm being the Girl Scout that I know to be, and I shut everything off. Well, you shut everything off, and if it doesn't need to be shut off, you got to wait to have it turned back on.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to go into all the tests because I don't want to be liable, but just know that there's different, let's see, do I have it? No, I don't have it where I can grab it. But there are different tools that are the same thing, and some of them even have the instructions on how and where you will find your cutoffs, because there were some fires last night from the 7.1 that was in Ridgecrest, and what we're hearing is that it was possibly a gas leak situation. Not to be fearful. That's where knowing and being ready, and these items are not expensive and important to do. And I mean, I'm going to do this as more of a funny, is that if it's nighttime, you want to be able to see where you're going.
Oh,
So
that's nice. I
so
like that.
you can have, one of these where you can have your hands available. You can have one of these that also go into an emergency. It pulsates that if there's an emergency. So these are cool little handy dandy tricks. And then my last thing I'm going to show, if I can find it real quick, because I have others. Oh, two other things. Because it's really important to know what's going on. Know that you most likely, and someone said it really well, I think, last night, and that was, we live in a digital age, but understand that your digital items most likely will not be able to be trusted, and so you want to have some old-fashioned, like transition type things, transistor type things. If you have an old landline, know where that is in your house, and know where your landline phone is, because many of us may
Yes.
have those, but we don't know where the phone is that connects. Know where that is so you can plug it in, because you may not have a cell phone, but surprisingly enough, you might be able to communicate
Yes.
through a landline. And
True.
so, and then there are a couple more things I need to also, I forgot here. There are ways of having water. If you don't have water and you have a backpack and you have something simple like water purified tablets, old
Mhm.
fashioned bleach works. Just know the calculations, or you can
Right.
get these little deals that are water purifiers, and there's so many more things, but the the real true bottom line is this, guys. Think in terms of 72 hours. Think in terms of water, um, clothing, shoes, protection of shoes,
Yeah.
because we're not going to go into what to do. I'm really going to let you guys do a lot of that checking in, because there's the old fashioned way of looking at it, and then there's the updated. Look at updated information. If I can encourage you guys to do this, and encourage anything right now, is that simple preparedness doesn't have to be difficult. And if you get a list and you just cross it off, just think in terms of 3 days and then start building from there. If you have any questions, contact me. Just do me a favor and do it. And don't, no matter where you are, don't, please listen to these words. It doesn't matter where you are
No. No.
geographically. It doesn't matter. Take that
Mm-mm.
off. Take that equation away from your way of thinking.
Yeah.
They always say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
I want to encourage all of you to think that way, and don't be fearful. Take the control. Make it fun. Make it fun. You can. You'd be surprised how much my kids loved
I
getting
was
the
gonna say
backpack.
have your kids help with what they'd like to have in there, to at least to have with them for their security or something fun. Let them be a part of it and let them know it's okay. We've got this. We're going to be fine. And
Right.
they need that security.
That's right.
And being a part of it is really good for kids.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
and with your background in, because you're in, why don't you tell everybody what your background is in training, and so they understand?
I was a pediatric nurse for 23 years. I'm sorry, a nurse for 23 years. Probably 18 of that was in pediatrics. I
So
worked with newborns in a doctor's office and a school system. And then I spent a lot of my years in a home care agency for children with multiple disabilities. So, yeah, I love kids.
so you see, she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, I
And
do.
and this may sound funny, but my kids are now a little older,
Well,
and
mine
we
are too.
did.
Mine are married.
Yeah, I have some of those too, and they always were like, "Mom, we do this all the time. When are we ever going to get to use this stuff?" And I kept thinking to myself, you know, someday you'll get it. That it's really good that we haven't. However, we've got it, and you know where it is, and you do it. And now my kids are
I bet they
teaching
get it.
this, yes,
Yeah,
to
they
their
get it.
friends.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and they do. It's just a part of the drill. So
I
I
love it.
know we took a lot of time. However, I really do believe that someone had mentioned that it's like a public service announcement, and
It's an
that's what they
important public service announcement.
right. And that's what it's about, being an impactor, right? To really say
Yes,
that you want to be an impactor, you got to
yes.
really be an impactor when the impact is needed. Don't you agree?
Especially, yeah. Oh, huge, huge, hugely important.
So
Yeah,
now
be prepared.
thank you for your help in this little
Oh, I loved
exercise.
it. I love
Because
that. Being a nurse, I love education, so it's good.
well, good, because I'm going to use my easy
Oh,
button.
I have one of those too. My grandchildren love that. They play with it at my house all the time.
Well, because this is the kind of stuff that, like, when my kids were doing stuff like this, I would have had, we had them.
That was easy.
Yes.
We had them, and
Yeah.
we would do, okay, that was easy. We got done with that, right? On to the
Yeah,
next
I
thing.
know. It's so fun. Yeah, the kids love it.
Yeah. So make it fun. All right. So, in fact, okay, your big message and your mission is that no one should be
Oh, I
hungry.
love that. I love that. I have actually used that before, that
I,
verbiage.
I
Yeah.
actually took that from your page, so
Okay.
you have used
Okay.
it.
Because it looked awfully familiar to me that I posted it because it's so true.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah,
well,
it's so true. So true.
because I
Yeah.
wanted people to get to know who you are and why it is, and it's so interesting how we had this already scheduled, and then it was just like, oh, it's just perfect for us to be talking about this, because your platform is, why don't you kind of go into it?
My platform is I just recently last March I created I'm creating a community. It's called Joining Hands with Hope. So sorry, I lost my earbud.
No worries.
And what it is people, when they think of hunger, they think of food and the basics, and that's just the basic survival. Yes, we need to feed these our children and adults and seniors, but there's more to hunger than that. I called it Pillars of Hunger, something I created myself. God kind of just put it out there. And what it is there's six: emotional support, education, housing, um, jobs. What else? I know I'm missing something. Um, but there's six. For some reason, my mind went blank. But there's six of them, and you can actually see them on my flyer. And I want this community to be able to. Which of these areas really speak to you? Where do you feel you would really like to be a part of? I'm also working with our food bank in our area to find out what are the resources, what things are out there that we can help the food bank, and we can help our community. So it's, yes, we still need to feed them. And I'm actually in a peanut butter drive from the co-advertising network, actually donating people. Yep. We started that last year. And that's the number one requested by the food banks, and the least donated because everybody loves peanut butter. In my area, 1 out of 7 children live with food insecurity. 1 out of 7. US, it's 2 out of 8. And here we're in one of the richest countries. So we started the drive last year. We're still doing it now. We go to churches, businesses, clubs, organizations, people that just want to donate, and we've been doing that since last year. Last year we collected about 6,500 jars, which is about 200,000 meals, and from August until December. So this is a
Thank
good
you.
way. There's so many ways you can help. People don't know how to help. They want to, but they're not sure how. And if they want to know, they can let me know, and I can send them some information of how they can help with hunger, because there's so much we can do. And it's so sad that we're in a country that we live in. And we're also having trouble with seniors too. Seniors are huge right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the food bank that we are a part of, this food bank is amazing. They have a backpack program for kids, so on the weekends they have food, because during the week, as long as they're in school, they get a meal. They get meals. They have a 40-pound box of food for seniors that qualify, and they get it once a month. So that way, if they're struggling to get their prescriptions, this at least gives them some help with food. And they rely on volunteers to help, and they rely on donations. And this food bank, when I went there, is when God led me to say why hunger is so important to me, because I was so passionate. And I really thought it was because I love children so much, which is true, I do. And I'm a firm believer that it's important to give back, to help people less fortunate. But he said that's not the reason why this is so passionate for you. It's because you lived it. But yeah, this is my life. No matter what happens in this next impactor, wherever way it goes, this is going the way it's going to go. But this is something I will do till I die.
Right.
This is so important to me.
And those that are really in it for the impact, that is exactly which I believe all of us, all of us
You
that
are
are.
too. You are definitely.
Without a question. I was into it.
I agree with you. I agree. Almost, I would say everyone in this competition thinks the same way too, because they're in it because they're passionate about what they want to do, how they want to help and change the world. And that's what we're trying to do, is to help people, because it's not about you. It's not about you. It's who can you help, and how can I help them?
Right.
And that's what we should all be doing. How can, who's out there, and I think I think it was easy for me to figure this out because of my past, and same way with you, with what you're doing with Cancer Buddies. I think, a lot of the ones in this competition have stories to tell. And the stories led them to say, hey, I want to make a difference in this world.
And you have a story.
This world.
Right.
And you do too, honey.
Oh, I know I do. But I mean, this is about you right now. And I do want to say one thing that is coming to me, and maybe we need to talk to your food bank, and it's really making me think we need to maybe talk to many of them, is that sure. I don't know that the food banks are aware of the fact that there are so many people going through cancer treatment at this moment that are not eating.
No, we definitely need to do that for sure. Yes.
And it's a real problem, and it's becoming more of a problem because they're having to choose, especially since the change in the insurance issue, stuff. And there's a bigger story to it. We won't go into it, but there are many that are having to choose to either be hungry for the short term or to not seek the long-term help to live. Those are tough choices because there's no win-win-win in any of that. And we need to make sure that we are, all of us, and see, this is why all of us working together to make a difference, all of us impactors in our different things, when we join together and join our missions together and say, it is about those we are serving. It is about making an impact on this world. And it doesn't matter whose name is there. It's about the serving. And that's what I truly appreciate about your heart. I see Mikey here, about his heart. I know it because He's proved it to
Yeah.
me so many times.
Yeah.
And we've got Mary here right now. And, yes, we need these
We
stories.
need to
And
inspire people. I agree with Mary
yes,
for sure.
yes,
There's a
absolutely.
problem. Okay, but this is what we're going to do to make it better. How are we going to make it better? That's what's
Right.
important.
Right.
Yeah, you need to know there's an issue, but okay, how can I be a part of making things better?
The solution. And that's what I
Yeah.
love about all of us, because we are solution driven.
Yes.
And and I will say solution driven with an open mindedness to hear, if, like, for example, if my solution isn't the best solution, I want to hear. I want to make sure that I've got the best one that we've got going on for the
Right.
community that I'm serving, because I would not be serving them well if that wasn't the case. And that's what I have found so tremendously important. Um,
Right.
and I've got one of my buddies here right now that
Mhm.
she's actually a buddy that, let me just say, I'm very hopeful that things are turning around. We adopted her into our community of chemo buddies because she's actually in kidney failure, and she came to
Is
us.
Tatiana? Is that her?
Tatiana's
Pray,
here right now.
prayers,
Yes,
prayers.
very much so, and so encouraged that she's
Um,
got someone testing right now. And yes,
um,
we all need help. And you know, into the you know we're
I love that about Mary.
yes,
She just mentioned that lately, and I was thinking about what I've been posting and stuff, and I'm really needing to shift my gears a little, and I thought that was important to hear. And that's why I did this joining hands with hope, because if we do join hands with hope throughout the world, just imagine what we can do to help people
oh
of
yeah,
whatever the issues are. And that's
oh
what we
yeah,
need to focus on. What can
oh
we
yeah,
do in our community, but what can we do beyond that? And
exactly.
I really need to focus on that a little bit more than I maybe have been. And I love that message from Mary. I think she's spot on. It's so
Mary is
true.
amazing.
We don't need to see the sad. We need to know that, yeah, there were issues, but let's focus on what we can do.
Exactly. And so, that's exactly what we're doing right now. And that's what I'm so excited. Even, I mean, let's face it, even in what we just did for half an hour, these are things that you can do.
Yes.
You can do this because sometimes it's having help from others. Sometimes we need to help ourselves. And there is and having that education and having that ability to know, and having people that will help you to understand, like, it's okay, you need help, I'm here to help. Or, let's look at this, and let's help you to help yourself, because there is that too. And there's a fine line. And what I always say is that in chemo buddies, we believe in humor, hope, and heart. And
I love that.
you
Love
know
that.
and because you got to laugh. And if you haven't had your daily dose of laughter today, why not? Let's do that. It's like you
Laughter,
gotta.
laughter is healing, and they have proven that with people that have been sick, that laughter is the best medicine. It's the best medicine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And community, and not to be alone,
Mhm.
is
Yes.
also having that. And that's why I love your message with the hope and the pillars, and bringing the community together, and realizing that hunger is also an emotional hunger. It can
Yes.
be that hunger for, to no longer be isolated. See, these are cross patterns that are happening, because and that's what happens oftentimes. And yes, my dear Teresa, laughter yoga.
Oh,
That-
wow. I've never tried laughter yoga, but it sounds like fun.
yeah, you know what? Anything around that woman is fun. So
Well, it sounds like it. It sounded good to me. Where is
yeah,
it, and when can I go?
exactly. And that's what's really great about the platforms that many of us are running on, is that, yes, many times it is that community, the local community, but because of the tools that we have now, you and I are here in unison. We are sharing a unified message together, and we are in two different time zones.
I know. Isn't that something? I know. Boy, technology, it's amazing what we can do now. But
Exactly.
yeah, I was just so grateful that you asked me to be on with you because you're a very amazing lady and I just love you.
Well, and vice versa, back at you. Because truly, and let me just say this, guys. You you are looking at a woman that truly does. She puts her action,
Oh,
like what
I
my
love that picture. Oh, I
you
just
know,
love that picture.
I do too.
It
When I
just
saw it, it
it
was
just
like
hit me. It really hit me. Oof.
it hit me too. We can conquer space. We can conquer, and I want to add, we can conquer hunger. We can
And we can conquer
conquer
and we
child.
can conquer cancer.
Yes, we can, and many know my stand on that is that many times it doesn't matter what treatment, because if your heart and
Mhm.
mind is in alignment with what treatment you're
Yes,
choosing,
yes,
you have a higher chance of surviving through that treatment.
that's true.
Yet if you do it alone and isolated, no matter what, your percentage still goes back down. And
Yeah.
so don't do it alone. And right there, that when I saw that with the hands in the world and everything, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh yes, this is speaking to many of us in that
Yeah.
we can do this together. We can affect the world. And humble hands.
Yeah.
Because you think about some of the people in the world that have made a difference. Many of them have been the humble. Many of
Yes.
them that we now look back on and we say, wow, that person left a legacy. That person changed a period of time. That person gave hope. That person taught the world.
Well, you know what? That is why I named it Joining Hands with Hope
I love it.
because it gives hope that there is people that love you and care about you and want to help and just need guidance to know how. And that's why I call it Joining Hands with Hope. Yours is the same way too. You're joining hands and giving these people that are struggling, you're giving them hope and love and caring. And that's what hungry people need too. My story, I call it love, healing, love, and survival. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about. And that's what these people who are struggling to eat, they need to know that
And
there's hope.
I would like to just touch on your story because you said that we could, and so people understand how deep this is in you. Because when people understand that, then it's like, oh, I get it. It is truly at the cellular level that
It is.
Sharon believes in this. Why don't you do that? Why don't you share with us for a moment your story?
Okay. I don't want to make it too sad because I end up crying and if I do, I can't help it. I'm like you, I cry easy. From the time I was born until I was 6, it was my parents and there were 7 children. We lived day to day. We lived in a car quite a bit. We would visit family and they would help us out and then they would, bathe us and feed us and give us a place to sleep and send us on our way and give us some money. And this was a consistent thing. I mean, I knew my parents loved me. They just couldn't handle 7 kids. And that time there was no assistance. And so at 6, everything got really, really bad because my dad, it was in jail because he had borrowed his boss's car, but he took it out of state, which is a federal offense. So he was in jail, and here was my mom with 7 children, never worked, had no income, no money, didn't know what she was going to do. And so she reached out for assistance, and they came and they visited us in our housing projects that we were living in and saw how bad the living conditions were. And they came a couple times, and then they finally just said, we've got to get the children out of here because this is not good. So they came and they loaded us in the car, and my mom was there crying and said, "Please don't take my children." And as a mom, I can't even fathom
Mm-hmm.
having your children, no husband's there, your children is gone like that. So, I was the oldest girl. I have an older brother, but we were in the car and we tried to hold everybody to get together because we were so scared. We didn't know where we were going. We thought, well, what did we do wrong? Were we bad kids? Which is kids at that age, I was 6. And so we were all placed in foster homes. And I was in there for a year, and it was a good home, but I was so angry. I was in fights all the time at school and crying and sleep and wetting to bed at night because I was just, and my dad came to visit me a couple times. And he says, I'm going to come get you and your brothers and your sisters. And then he'd leave me there. So I felt, here I am abandoned again. This happened a couple
Right.
of times. And, but there was hope. And there's hope for people that are living in those countries. There is hope. My caseworker came to visit me and said there is a family that have a son, can't have any more children. They want a girl, and they'd like to meet you. And I found out from my mother that they had gone to this ice cream place where the caseworker took me, and they were there to see if they wanted to meet me. And the thing my mom said, and I still can remember to this day, how could anyone not want that angel? So
Oh,
she called, I was her angel, and she was my angel. So
oh,
angels are huge for me. And I went to visit them for the first time. I just was I couldn't believe it. Never would have to worry about food, clothes on my back,
mhm,
shelter, love. It was like, wow. And I'd have my own bedroom. It was like, really? This is the way I could live? Was I scared of doing it? I mean, they were kind and everything, but it's scary when you make that, when you decide to do that. And they asked if they could adopt me, and I said yes.
mhm.
And in the beginning, it was hard because I had a trust issue, a
Yeah,
big
sure.
trust issue because of what I've been through and being young like that. And I worried
Mhm.
about where my brothers and sisters were, what happened to my parents, all those thoughts. But they showed so much love and so much caring that I finally was able to get past that. But I am a people pleaser, and I know that has to do with that part of my life because I was afraid that if I was a bad child, they'd send me back.
Right.
So I learned to, but they gave me so much love. My mom tutored me because I was so delayed. Lots of love, and the community accepted me, and the school I went to was, I mean, it was just they. And I say it this way: they made me the woman I am today,
Mm,
the wife I am today, the mother I am today, and the grandmother that I am today. And they actually saved my life. And
uh-huh.
that's what I want for people today. I want us to save them. And that's what we need to do. We need to save them and let them know that we care and we love and we're there for them to make life better.
I love
Make
it.
life better. Yeah. So, yeah.
What
Always
what
there's,
what an inspirational story.
well, I want it to be one of not the sadness.
Right. No.
That's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the fact that there's love, there's
Right.
healing, and there is survival.
And may
Survival.
I say thank you for sharing that, because I have heard a lot of stories about orphans, and you hear a lot of horror stories, and
Yeah.
because I know that it happens, and I know, and not in any similar way, but I too was a product of adoption, but it was adoption to my mother and my stepfather. So I was removed from my birth father. And so I understand that separation thing and the kind of trust factor and some of those things,
Mhm.
because those can be universal in any kind of disruption when you're at those ages. And I was at the
I,
same
I
age.
I agree. I agree. But you know what? I found all my family. Got to meet my dad. I have 15 siblings. I got to know everybody, and I got to know my dad, and I got to know his story. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what you need to remember when we're critical of people. What is their
Right,
story?
right,
Why did it happen the way it happened? Because as a child, you blame yourself. So it was so
and
important for me to hear his story and say, you know what? I love you. I forgive you. It's all good. It's fine.
and I am so grateful that you're sharing this, because there are so many situations in with kids, and I have some very dear friends that were not able to have children. So they became foster parents, and then they adopted their children, and the two sets of brother sister pair. And these were kids that were actually drug addicted babies when they were born. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's the other side too, that there are these amazing people with so much love, like your angel mother that adopted you. I know those people. I know how much they, because of whatever personal situation, that they want to give that love, and the system allows for it, if they go through it right, to do it through the foster care programs. And so I am grateful that you are sharing this, because it doesn't have to be that each story out there is going to end up like so many here. And we need to counterbalance and have that humor, hope, and heart. We need to share that hope. We need to share that 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 not every person is the boogeyman that's under the bed. That there
Mm-hmm.
are really great people out there, and that is not being, I am many times accused of being a bit of a Pollyanna, and you know what, I don't see that as a bad thing. At times I'm very well aware of things. However, I believe that there can be a way for people to win, and that there are good people, even if they
Yes.
need to be reminded that they
Yeah.
are a good person, because right, there are
Yeah.
those situations.
Yeah. And I actually have, I can't go into too much detail, but I have a family member that fostered and adopted a child. And I think it's because of hearing my story and decided they wanted to foster and adopt. And what a beautiful child.
I will. That's why I wanted to bring this up, and that's why I wanted to really focus in on this, because I am grateful you are sharing your story, and I'm
Mm,
grateful for, like, my friends that did this, because there are so many kids in the system. There are so many that are hungry. They're hungry for food. They're hungry for love. They're hungry
yes.
for education. They're hungry for self awareness and self esteem. They're hungry to be a part of a family, and to
Yeah.
be accepted for who they are. And if
Yeah.
we and you've already helped one family, it sounds like. And
Yeah,
if
I
if
did. I
if
think, yeah, I did.
nothing else if nothing else in our lives, if we have affected one other, our life has been worth it. And
Oh,
you,
yeah,
Sharon,
I agree. I agree. I
you
agree. And
have
that's,
affected, I am sure, so many more.
well, you know what? That's why our team, I'm on Team Vicky. We picked a nonprofit. We picked an orphanage, and
Right,
this orphanage takes in abandoned babies that would have died, and
right.
giving them education and food and clothes and love and safety. And so for me, that is, wonderful.
And I love
And
your
so
nonprofit, because they were
yeah,
one of my Team Todd members.
I know, I know. She's amazing. I love her. We
Yes.
chat on Messenger frequently with her and the kids. Yeah, I just love her.
And
She's like my mama. She's another mom,
yes,
loving
and
mom.
a very loving mom. And she remembers everybody's birthday. She's really good about
I
that.
know, I know.
and
I tell
and you
you,
know, I want to say to everybody here right now is that we are talking about people that are involved in the next impactor. The next impactor, it may be its first season, and you know what? I will tell you this: the people that are involved in it have hearts that are there to make a difference.
yeah,
This is a program, this is a collected, yes, entertainment kind of a situation with twists and turns and
yeah,
gamified and
true,
everything. And
true.
trust me, we've been twisted and turned and gamified.
Yes, yeah,
Like,
turned upside down and
but when you look at each one of the platforms, and that's why I said it long ago, and I really mean it. I wanted to have every person that was even in the original, however
yeah,
many hundred, and I'll go into a second season of 365 days to do it, because I believe that the people that really said, okay, I'll put my name in the hat to become the first impactor, they have a purpose. They have something that they believe that they can make a difference.
it's like
And
Lauren saying, purpose.
Exactly.
Purpose. What's your purpose?
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So
What's your purpose?
I am so flippin' grateful that you are here. I'm grateful to have you here with me today as we did a
Me
little
too.
bit of an educational platform to to
I love
encourage.
that. I love that. That's so important, Tiana.
Tatiana, it's okay. You can call me Tatiana all day long because I find that as, I mean, do you know she has a PhD and she's been all over the world? And yeah, I'll take that as a compliment any day.
I meant Tamara, and I'm sorry I said it wrong.
That's
But I
okay.
know Tiana too. So
It starts with
anyway,
it starts with a T and ends with an A. I'll answer it.
oh well,
And
I don't know about that one. Anyway, thank you for what you're doing to showcase people. It's important that they know there's so many people out there that are really wanting to change the world, and you're
exactly,
highlighting them, and that is so important for people to know what's going on out there and who's out there and what they want to do, and maybe they will say, "Hey, I want to be a part of that."
exactly,
And it gives them, somebody that they can say, "Hey, this speaks to me.
exactly.
I want to talk to that person."
Exactly, because there are
That's what it's
so
about.
many out there I know that
Mhm.
that are feeling hungry to help those that have been displaced, those
Yeah.
that are feeling isolated and alone, and children that are
Yeah.
feeling afraid and hungry and 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 possibly have a story that they can relate to yours and they're in that situation now. There's too many good people out there to help make a difference for them. And
Yeah.
if we all band together and those that the message, that if you can relate to Christopher Kaysen, go
Oh,
with Chris.
I love Christopher.
I do
He's such
too.
a sweetheart. I just love him.
And I do too.
Autism to artism. I just love him.
Well,
He's got a sweet, kind soul.
he does.
I just love him. Yeah.
And And I submit that each and every one of the top 25 have a unique and amazing sense of purpose, passion,
Mhm.
and a drive to make a difference. Now,
Yeah.
what their souls and their feelings are, there's going to be some that are going to come across one way or another. And that's what's so great about having 25 unique people, because there
Yeah.
will be some that will be like, hey, you know what? That person's cut from the same cloth. I love the message. Let's go. Let's
There's a
do
lot
this.
in this competition I feel are cut from the same cloth, okay?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
you're on the top of the list.
Oh well, you know what? Thank you. You're so kind. You're so dear and kind and generous and I appreciate you so very much. I really do. And how can people follow you? How can people vote for you? How can people be a part of what you're doing?
I would love to, in the comment, I'll put some information about how they can help their food banks, because that's
Yes.
important. I mean, what can they do to help? I am working on my landing page on my website for Joining Hands with Hope, so it's in progress. But they can send me to my email. They want to know more, and they can chat with me if they want to know more. If they want to be a part and just be a part of it, they can do that. But I can put something in the comments so that they can contact me if they want to know more. But
Perfect, perfect. I
yeah.
appreciate that very much so, because this is truly, I've never gone public with this, but I will right now. There was a period of time when I was struggling in an abusive situation and had kids, special needs children, and had to rely on a food bank.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've had that piece of paper to say you can go and get help. And that's a humbling experience.
Yes, it is. It's hard to admit.
And especially when you've been, this is after I was a vice president of a company, but because of an abusive and domestic violence situation, I needed to go underground. I needed to change things, and you do what you need to do for the safety of yourself and your family, your kids.
Yes.
And I know personally too what it's like. That's why you see all this stuff you do and why I'm such a big preparedness nut. There's a reason behind just about everything. In
No,
truth,
but you're doing. But it's true though. Yeah. So you know what it's like.
I
And
do.
thank goodness there are food banks. When
Yes,
I was when I was young, there wasn't any help. Not like there is today. Thank goodness there is help out today for
exactly.
families that are struggling, and I'm grateful for that.
And I
And
am
then
too.
and don't be. Some people they feel like people will judge them, and you know that's true. People will judge you, and you got to do what it is to survive and to help your family, and heck with them because you do what you got to do, right?
Right. And I want to also submit another thought. And this is one thing that I taught my children as we came out of it. And that was, we never had a yard sale. The first yard sale I ever had was for votes.
Well,
Even
hey, that's okay.
even my board president, she's like, "You don't know how to do this?" I'm like, "No," because we created a pact within my family, because it was when we started having extra, we gave, and there was no
Yeah.
charge, and we wanted to make sure it would go to those that needed it. And we
Oh,
believe in giving. We believe in being there for others because others were there for us. And
yeah.
if we all band together, we band together and we help each other. Like, for example, our public service announcement for the
That
first
was
part of the
perfect.
hour,
That was
that
perfect.
we are helping you to help yourself to be ready. So please go back. If you didn't watch it, watch it. Be
Yeah.
ready. Be ready.
Yeah.
And be willing to do what you can for others, whatever that may look like. And always, always know that you have a service hero inside of you. And
Yes, you
it
do.
doesn't take doing anything large to actually make a huge difference in someone's life. And you may not know it, but you may have even given them hope to live. So,
That's true. That's why I'm doing the peanut butter because that's a good way for people to help that maybe aren't sure what to do. Because this can be in any community. It doesn't matter. Just because we're doing it here in Indiana and in Illinois doesn't mean that this is something can be. It needs to be duplicatable. How can we spread this to other communities and help them in whatever their needs are? Because every community is a little bit different on what their needs are, but everybody needs food.
everybody does. And
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. We all
Yeah.
do, one way or
Well,
another.
thank you.
So,
Well, thanks
as
for
we
sharing. Thanks for sharing that.
thank you. Thank you. I've never gone public with that, but it's something that I'm not ashamed of, because you do
No.
what you have to do for the lives of your children
Yeah.
and for the lives of others. It's all about helping each other. That's what it's all about. So,
Amen.
thank you so very much.
Amen.
So, as we close day number 270 of 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service, I want to thank you, Sharon, for being the service hero that you are. You have inspired me today. I know you've inspired others, not only today, but you've been doing it, I believe, without even maybe knowing it, your whole entire life. You have a mission and a passion and a purpose to help others no longer feel that hunger, be it in their belly, be it in their heart, be it in their
True.
soul, to no longer feel as though they're alone, and know that they too can make a difference. And in doing that, we will change the way things are done. So
We'll
I
change
want
the
to say
world.
thank you.
We're going to change the world.
Change the world. Amen. Absolutely. All
Praise the Lord.
right. Thank you so very much. I will be back tomorrow. Don't know the time right now, but I am going to say many people know who Caroline or Carol is, and tomorrow she is going to be coming on the show. So
Yay.
I am going to be announcing it. It's going to be a great show. She does so much for so many. She really does. And she has such a servant's heart. She deserves to have, and she's finally letting me do this. I've been wanting to do this for a while. She's finally
Well,
letting me come on
Good.
have her on and share the fact that she is truly giving. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy. And guys, check into 72-hour kits. Be
Yes.
prepared. Preparedness equals a lack of being afraid. Isn't it
Yeah.
much better to be calm and ready?
Yes.
And then laugh about it. Have some
Yes,
fun.
and laugh about it. Yeah, afterwards.
Yes. Or even while you're doing it.
Well,
Can you
sometimes you have, yeah,
fit in
that's
there?
true. You're right. You're right. You're right. It's true. Yep. Laughter is healing. Yep.
That's right. All right.
Yeah.
Make it a
Well,
great day,
bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.